in Jio Financial Services continuing. Trading opens, it's down close to 3%, Geofin, and Reliance up 0.43%. At this stage, it looks like the Reliance stock is trying to sort of wash away all the volatility that is coming its way because of Geofin, which was hived off from the Reliance stock. But as always, Shweta, these are opening trades. These are as of 9:45 a.m. in the morning. We'll wait and watch how these stocks perform through the rest of the day.
Thank you so much for that lowdown, Krishna. Let's quickly get in Ashish Maheshwari, Director, Arihant Capital, joining us on the show to perhaps weigh in on what's moving markets this morning. Ashish, good morning. Thanks very much for taking time out. Let's begin with markets. Markets opening flattish green this morning. What are the big cues you're tracking?
As such, if you see domestic side, there are not too many cues which are driving the market. Only some profit taking is happening. I think market is taking more cues from Dow Zone as such. And another thing is rise in crude oil prices to $90. Psychological knee-jerk reaction what we are witnessing in equities, not only in India but globally also. Markets are slightly subdued. But I think this is slightly overdone. I'm not expecting the crude will be $100 in Jiffy, and the ideal range of crude will be same way, $85 to $95 now, because the way again world is opening up and consumption is going up, such crude prices are bound to be there, and cut from Saudi and Russia also adding to that. As far as market is concerned, no Indian cues as such, other than the global cues which will drive market in this.
Okay, market looking like it's consolidating a bit this morning. Let's quickly also get in Ashish's reaction on GAIL for that matter.
Ashish, GAIL was rocked by that extreme piece of news. 50 lakh rupee bribery case, 4 officials have arrested, raids across 3 locations, and yet the stock is up over 1% at least.
If you see the size of bribes, the 50 lakh is just minuscule in today's world. And that to company it be like GAIL with somebody who is the helm of the affair, there's such a senior position, 50 lakh is nothing here. So I think this is the reason market has not reacted to it at all. Besides this, as the oil prices are going up, so GAIL gas prices are also bound to go up, which will benefit all these gas and oil companies particularly. So this is the reason we are witnessing some reaction on the positive side.
All right. So, perhaps investors are not very jittery about that 50 lakh rupees graph charge as of now, and on the back of the fact that oil prices have been spiked overnight. There's been a production cut. We want to discuss that further, but we'll come to it in just a bit. Let's also quickly get in your views on Geofin. Yep. The Geofin stock will be out of Nifty 50 tomorrow. What is the impact likely to be? The stock is down about 2% this morning.
Yes, I think stock has moved quite a bit in a very short period of time. From the lows of 203, stock again moved to 260 odd levels. So some volatility is bound to be there in this stock per se. But one good thing has happened, like some of the leading mutual funds, etc., they have taken bulk of this selling. They have absorbed this selling, and this is the reason we are witnessing a good consolidation in this stock. And once it comes out of Nifty, then surely this will be again chase the stock, because the kind of plans they are having in the retail financial market, a lot of institutional investors will surely be looking at this particular stock also. So in my view, 240 will be a good level to make an entry in this.
In fact, Reliance stock is also marginally up this morning, 0.5% up this morning, not marginally for that matter. All of that, of course, on the back of the news that there's going to be massive investment in Reliance Retail. Reliance Retail, of course, is the next business that Reliance seems to be focused on, and squarely focused on for that matter. What's moving Reliance stock prices?
And if I may add to Shweta, the point is how much of the volatility in Geofin is sort of being is Reliance being Teflon quoted about?
Ashish?
As far as Reliance is concerned, I think today Jeffrey's report giving a target of 2950 also playing some role in this. And again, retail and all those kind of investment will continue to happen. In my view, if you see the Reliance price performance, it was quite subdued from the time this Jio listing has happened. So some amount of buying is going to is happening. And besides this, again, as the crude prices are going up, so their GRMs particularly show good trend. So in my view, this is something like which is playing a role in the price, right? And this price hike will continue. So I'm expecting a price target of 2,500 kind of mark in Reliance maybe in next 3 months time.
All right, and a stock in focus that we are discussing since morning is Voltas.
Yes.
Voltas, not surprisingly so. There's been management commentary. There's been commentary about how white goods are going to be sold better. There'll be more demand, festive cheers, etc., etc. All of that, of course, weighing in on Voltas stock, Ashish.
Yes, I think Voltas is a stock which has not given any return to the investor for a quite some time. If you see the kind of return by Dixion or PG Electroplast or Amber, these kind of players who make air conditioner for them, and those companies which are really selling them has not rewarded investors at all. Because again, the problem was this time summer was also not that extreme, so there was issues related to a lot of inventory which is piled up with the dealers, etc. But you buy a stock whenever such thing happen, because over a period of time these companies will do well. So air conditioner or refrigerator business, I'm quite optimistic that this will do well, and the valuation also favor Voltas compared to the peer set. So this is the reason we are witnessing a buy report also came recently from Motilal Oswal giving this room air conditioner market, which will drive growth. Because the way purchasing power is going up, almost all room air conditioning companies will do well, and Voltas has a good market share in that. So, in my view, this stock has potential to reach its earlier 52-week high of 990, maybe in next 3 to 4 months.
All right, Ashish, we've been talking about what festive season will mean for India for the month of September. It starts as recent, let me say, put it this way, it starts now.
Yeah.
For some, it starts now in the month of September. By the second week, Ganesh Chaturthi, by
and
the
today there's
second
Krishna
week,
Jayanti, technically speaking. So even before Ganesh Chaturthi, Janmashtami sort of kicks off the festive season.
Yes, it kicks off the festive season, a prolonged festive season for India, which means a lot of things, which means a lot of white goods will be sold, which also means there's going to be focus on auto sector, vehicles will be sold, maybe houses will be sold. Where Realty is also preparing to perhaps have better inventory that they can push out for prospective buyers in the coming weeks ahead. All of that means that there's going to be more momentum perhaps in white goods sector. Apart from Voltas, what are the other competitors that you believe are likely to pick up in the next couple of months?
Yes, I agree with you fully on this. As this festival season has started, so surely it will increase the volumes of these companies. Another thing which has happened is this time post summer there was a monsoon only for 1 month, and again if you see a lot of heat is there already pan India basis. So maybe this will be extended summer time for these companies, which will drive growth for these consumer durable companies. So here I'll suggest companies like which are again manufacturing these stock with these products are a better bet as well. So companies like Amber Enterprises or Dixion Technologies are in my buying radar. Even PG Electroplast has recently raised 500 crore by QIP and available at 1800 rupees after 200 rupees correction is a good buy. So instead of more branded player, I'll still suggest to buy companies which manufacture these things for them.
Right. One of the stocks in action this morning is SBI. Tons of news coming in on SBI. The fact that they're going to be recruiting, they're on a mass recruitment drive at this stage. They're also one of the key players in pushing e-rupee and e-rupee's interoperability with UPI. But tell us what exactly is keeping the stock buzzing this morning.
I think after initial buzz in the stock, again the stock is cooling down.
Okay.
If you see even today, Nifty PSU banking index is down today. So yeah, because again the issue is some profit taking will keep on happening in PSU banking stock because there's a very big run up we have seen in mid cap PSU banking stock as such. Another problem is with banking stock is that FIs are not in you're buying in quantity these particular stocks. If you see the last month also FI is buying for almost at 6 month low, and FIs are the one like who drive these PSU banking stocks because domestic players are mostly buying mid cap and small cap indices in their fund where, and this is the reason those indices are 52-week high, but not the bank nifty or PSU banking stocks. So my view is though they may be hiring etc., but this is a part of long-term plan. But some pressure is going to be there until unless FI buying resume.
All right, and since we are talking about banking stocks, let's go to sectors specifically. I mean, banking is one of the key sectors that has been an outperformer in the past couple of years, a laggard in the past couple of weeks. What's happening as far as banking sector is concerned, Ashish?
See, the banking sector is always a proxy play to your economy. So if you're bullish on India and you're not bullish on bank, this doesn't go together. So banking stock will certainly move up sooner or later because first of all, the whatever the NPAs were there, they are mostly over from the banking sector books. So we are going to see continuous improvement in performance of banking sector as such. But only thing as I was briefing you that FIs are the one who are driving your HDFC's bank or SBI, etc. Until unless they come back and start buying, again there will be some pressure in these stocks only. So I'll suggest if we have to buy this particular sector, then still it make more sense to buy your Central Bank of India or Bank of Maharashtra or Jammu and Kashmir Bank than your SBIs and Bank of Baroda, etc.
IT sector is surprising. IT sector doing well. I mean, not a whole host of news coming in post results.
Right.
However, continues to do better with each passing day. In fact, every evening, me and Suyash, we sit here, we try and understand and decode perhaps what's happening in the IT space. But what we know for certain, and a news that came out about 2 days ago, was that there is not enough cash to offer hikes in the appraisal cycle just as yet. Those hikes could be deferred. Wipro was up on the back of that news. So IT sector doing well for the past couple of days. Not many triggers. Ashish, what's happening as far as IT sector is concerned? What's moving stocks?
This is again a sector like which is a like which moves how the US markets goes up and down. So uh, so one thing is that. Second thing is here I am more bullish as far as mid cap IT stocks are concerned instead of more large cap stocks. And again, the rationale these mid cap IT companies are working as they are having their own area of expertise. So some companies are strong in fintech, some companies are into VFX, or some companies are into digital transformation, etc. So companies like Persistent or Coforge or KPIT, they will continue to outperform your TCS, Infosys, Wipro. So sector is good. Only thing is you need to be selective about which stock you are investing.
All right, and you know, since you mentioned mid cap, small cap, they've been outperformers, surprising many for that matter. And the sector, of course, both the broader markets outperforming, you know, Nifty, Sensex. I want to understand what's happening as far as, you know, small cap and mid cap companies is concerned. Mid cap companies, in fact, reaching that 40,000 mark, and we talked about that yesterday on our show. What is your outlook on mid cap?
So overall mid cap or mid cap IT?
Overall mid cap.
I think this will be a real outperformer even not only this year but maybe next 3 years also. So if you ask me where to put money, I'll blindly say you have to put money in mid cap indices or mid cap related mutual fund or selected mid cap stocks. Again, rationales are see those companies which are having market leadership positions or they are having significant market share, they are being chased. We have seen stories like your Polycab giving good return, your Astral Poly giving good return. etc. So which shows that wherever like companies are having good potential or having certain market share, they will continue to attract investing community. And the valuations are still attractive in mid cap compared to the large cap, where a lot of saturation is there. And another thing is, as I was briefing earlier in the show, FIs are not big buyer now. So whatever the money which used to come through ETF into indices is not coming. And in order to outperform, actually, your domestic mutual funds are more reliant on quality mid cap and small caps. And this trend will continue because the way SIPs are going up, they will continue to put more and more money into mid cap. So I'm quite bullish as far as the mid cap story is concerned.
All right, and since we started this bulletin with talks of oil prices, I want to touch on that at this point very briefly, but perhaps a very important story that is playing out, because we don't know what impact is going to be. Perhaps, Ashish, if you know what impact is going to be essentially on Indians who are going to queue up outside petrol pumps this morning, will they have to pay more as opposed to yesterday, or are OMCs going to absorb some of that hike as of today and the next couple of days? Will there be volatility? Because overnight we saw Brent crude touching an all-time high since November last year at $90 a barrel. It was hovering between $75 to $85 for the past at least 12 months. What impact is that going to have on the markets and on Indian consumers?
I don't think so. They are going to increase the price soon, because there's again we must not forget that there's an election year, and recently they have reduced the prices of LPG cylinders by 200 rupees. So rest assured, you will keep on paying 106.33 in Mumbai if you are buying petrol. And another thing is that these OMCs have made very good profit in the last year, because when crude was at 65 to 85 also, they have never decreased the prices. So they have good watches and good money what they have earned in last year. So I'm not expecting any price hike coming maybe near future.
All right.
Also.
All right, but overall, we've been talking about price stability in oil. Perhaps that price stability at $90 a barrel has come in, Ashish. Are you looking at a further hike anytime soon? Are you hoping that this $90 a barrel will sustain through end of December? What is your outlook on oil prices globally in the next couple of months?
Because Ashish, we are reading that it's going to touch $100 a barrel very soon, because that's the expectation at least. What happens when oil touches $100 a barrel?
So even oil touches $100 a barrel, you are not going to see any major increase in retail price as far as concerned, because because they have not decreased the prices in when the price was $65, so they cannot increase when it touches $100, and almost they have made around 65,000 crore rupees extra in previous year. So I'm not I'm not having that view that retail prices will go up, though prices will go up for manufacturing community or aviation, etc.
I was about to
some
come to
impact
that.
is going to be there.
Okay, I was about to come to that. What impact are we going to see in other sectors as a rise of rising crude prices, on manufacturing, on aviation fuel, on allied sectors for that matter? Larger impact perhaps of this $90 a barrel, which is at an all-time high.
Right. So some impact is going to be on aviation sector for sure. But one good thing is that if you see the kind of profitability Indigo is reporting, the kind of airfares have really moved up. They are also having big cash surpluses. So maybe some decline in profitability is going to be there. But as air travel is picking up so much, so I don't think so that it will be taking again them into red, like what was the scenario earlier. So we should not short at least the aviation stock as such. I think the major short candidate, if somebody want to take, are going to be OMCs only. I'm not witnessing, or I'm not expecting any major changes happening in as such in aviation side also.
Okay, would you say this is going to be a price at which crude will settle at least for the next couple of months, or do you see there's going to be an increase here on? I mean, this is the price point that a lot of analysts, a lot of experts, in fact, OPEC countries have been waiting for prices to stabilize. Is this that stable price point?
I think 85 to 95 will be a sweet spot at least in 1 quarter as such, because this is slightly knee-jerk reaction that Saudi and Russia, they are cutting production. But if demand is not going to be there at higher prices, they have to again increase the production. So or at $100 per barrel, if crude touches that level, is not good for global economy also. And
Okay.
the US is still struggling to tame down the inflation. So it will be a big beating there. So a lot of pressure is going to come if again oil touches 100.
All right, and as far as inflation is concerned, it is going to be a bummer for the US at this point. May not be so much for India if it's absorbed by the Indian government and OMCs, because they're sitting on a large cash pile. But for US specifically, this could result in higher inflation. Will this be a move that Fed is likely to rein in when they make their next decision, whenever they decide on a rate cut or rate hike next time?
Yeah, this is the major point which you have highlighted. Because if inflation is not controlled, again they will be forced to do a rate hike, if not in September and December. And the way like the bond yields are going up, again it shows that September or December one price hike may come, because they are not able to curtail inflation, and just higher crude prices will add to fuel in this fight against the inflation as such. So this is only one cause of concern for not only for India but for global economy. But I think it will be too early to comment on that. Let's just wait and watch at least for one more.
Okay, but MPC will of course have to weigh in that very important decision made by Moscow and not just Moscow for that matter, both Russia and other countries, of course, of oil price cut. But let's quickly talk about impact on India. And India importing oil from Russia has gone down in the past couple of months. Some are saying that there's not enough demand. Others are saying India is looking for an alternative outside of Russia, perhaps looking at Saudi Arabia, and they're not getting the discounts that we were getting some time back, and therefore it makes all the more sense to look for alternatives. What is going to be the impact on India's import of oil? Will Russia continue to be lucrative now after the production cut and possible rise in prices?
Yes, Russia will be again lucrative, because if you see in July, the average price at which you bought crude from Russia was around $68. So now as the prices are going up, so certainly this even after discounts, it will be somewhere in $82 as such. But I'm sure because if crude prices are going up, you will force to buy more oil from Russia. Because you are expecting some discount. So I think India's import from Russia is going to go up for sure in coming months.
All right. And let's move on to a story that we're tracking that came in yesterday by the way of an important announcement by SEBI, and that is a possible reduction in trade settlement time. We are given to understand, Ashish, that trade settlement, which was made to T+1 this year, and when India became the second country to do so in the world for that matter, that trade settlement window is going to further narrow to not 24 hours, but perhaps 1 hour by next year. What does it mean for traders?
Is it party time for the last?
So for trade, yes, for traders, for investors, for brokers, it's quite positive, because now because of the challenges that brokers are facing, that you have sold any stock today, you are not getting the limits again on the same day. It's hampering a lot of their volumes. At the same time, investors are not also able to trade whenever they give deliveries. They don't get margin. But if trades are settled one day, every 1 hour you are getting fresh limits, and I'm expecting brokers' volume will really go up once this development takes place post March 2024.
Right, I have two questions to ask on that. One is that, do you think that kind of a move will encourage more retail investors to participate in India's stock markets, knowing that this is the way things are going to go? 1 hour, you will know And then second question is, will something like this lead to greater volatility in the stock markets? Now that you can get settlements in 1 hour, will decision making change because of something like that?
So volatility is not the function like that you are having settlement every 1 hour, so you keep on churning money.
No, the way people trade, the way they think, right now they would be that much more skeptical because, okay, you know what, this trade settlement is going to take at least a day. Before that, it's going to be 2 days, 3 days. Let me think twice before buying or selling. But now that this can happen at this pace, do you think, the market participants will think differently? That's my question one. And second is, of course, those who are watching on the sidelines, people who are yet to invest in India stock markets directly. Do you think it will bring them on board?
So as far as those people who are sitting on the fence and watching market to go up, generally they'll come through mutual fund. I'm not expecting that because of 1 hour settlement they will start unnecessary trading and
will not affect their risk appetite. Not going to affect their risk appetite. All right.
It won't. But still, I think the major beneficiaries is going to be a broking community which will get higher one.
All right, and that of course is big news that is coming in by the way of SEBI. Let's quickly get our viewers to once again go through what's happened here. Remember, markets currently follow T+1 cycle, but the regulator now plans to overhaul settlement process, reduce the time taken. SEBI is gearing up to implement 1 hour settlement of trades by March of 2024. It expects instantaneous settlement to also come into effect by October of 2024. So by October 2024, it would be instantaneous. You wouldn't even have to wait 1 hour. This is revolutionary.
Absolutely.
Remember, hasn't really happened anywhere
else in the world. Yeah.
So good job there as far as SEBI is concerned, gearing up for a lot better process, a faster process, more efficient process, and it is of course this expects that the money would be expedited. It will come into your account very, very quickly. Remember, we migrated to T+1 cycle in January of this year.
Yes.
So within a year from now, we are going to have those processes.
That's some scorching
changing.
pace of growth and evolution in India's stock markets. Indian stock markets being one of the first in the world to, first of all, do away with paper trading and get onto electronic trading as well. From there to now getting an instantaneous settlement, what a journey it's been for India's stock market.
Absolutely. Ashish, thanks very much for joining in, for your inputs. We will, of course, try and get you back as soon as we can. But thanks very much for taking time out.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to another story that we are tracking, and that is by the way of Lulu Group. It appears that Lulu Group, and Amit Ranjan is going to walk into the studio. Amit, it appears that Lulu Group is targeting India, and not just big metro cities, but this time around smaller cities, smaller towns, not building supermarkets, but hypermarkets. What does it mean?
Hypermarkets, yeah. So they have a 2.2 million square foot mall already in Lucknow. So that's as big. They're looking at 2 states right now, Uttar Pradesh and Kerala. Specifically in Uttar Pradesh, they have targeted cities Kanpur, Gorakhpur, Banaras, Kashi or Varanasi, whatever you call that.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are the cities they have targeted in these. In Kerala, they have targeted 5 properties. Names have not been revealed as yet. They already are developing properties in the 3 to 4 lakh square feet range in Ahmedabad and Noida.
Okay.
So that is already happening. So we mostly in retail sector we mostly hear about Reliance and Tata's expanding. Here is a UAE based group that is expanding hyper malls into second tier cities. To start with these 2 states, they already have a big project coming up in Ahmedabad and Noida. So that's that's the
so after Ahmedabad, Noida, it's Kerala and UP, top down, bottom down, and top up.
Right.
Interesting choice of places.
It goes, and right from the beginning, when they first opened that mall in Lucknow, and you're talking about the Lulu Group, Shweta. Lulu Group, Mr. Ali, who owns and runs the Lulu Group, was the richest NRI in the Gulf, and continues to be the richest. I think he still continues to be the richest NRI, non-resident Indian in the Gulf. The Lulu Group is a massively successive group. If you go to Kochi, the biggest construction or the biggest single building entity in the city of Kochi is the Lulu Mall. You cannot possibly miss it. Smack in the middle of the city. It's the biggest thing possible, as big as any mall that you'd find anywhere in Delhi or Bombay.
5 more coming there.
Yeah. So the fact of the matter is that their expansion, Amit rightly pointing out, they're originally a Kerala-based group because everybody who runs the group is a Keralite, and yes, of course, they have their headquarters in Dubai. So Kerala was going to be a top choice either way, and like you're rightly pointing out, the interesting other choice is being UP. Why would a company from Kerala, based out of UAE, want to do UP? My guess is that UP is a market that's going to explode with more and more younger people in the UP market, wanting to go to malls, wanting to watch movies, wanting to spend.
And a lot of promises were made during the UP's Investor Summit, which is when the announcements of Lulu Group foraying into UP first came into light. Not just building in Noida, but in other remote parts of UP. All of that was made possible during the UP's Investor Summit, which we also covered here on Newsline.
And we did a story that the surge in tourism in UP has just gone through the roof. Yeah, I missed out one city in UP, Prayagraj. That's it.
Unmissable Prayagraj.
Unmissable Prayagraj.
Right. I think this is an indication of a factor that perhaps it's important to also point out: India's consumption and its capacity to consume fast-moving goods, to clothes, to talk about any retail segment, white goods, talk about any retail segment for that matters. India's capacity to consume is only becoming larger and larger, and it also stems back to the fact that India's middle class is becoming larger.
Bigger. And we recently had a statement even from the finance minister that another surge is going to happen from the lower class into the middle class immediately. Of course, the Prime Minister's speech suggested that 3.5 lakh crore people, million people into the middle class from the lower classes from the Independence Day, in his Independence Day speech. So that is a growing market, and that is where India has become most attractive, and that is also shielding us from external shocks that our middle class takes care of the economy through its consumption.
And I know you're working on that big story about India's... One is out and you continue to work on stories about India's big rising middle class. We will of course keep bringing details of rising middle class, but shifting a little away from middle class to actually not shifting away at all for that matter. Come to think of it, festive season is around the corner, and it's not just consumer goods that people are going to buy. People are also going to buy vehicles. They're perhaps also going to buy homes, because this is the time that people wait for, perhaps more auspicious, more discounts. So right from September up until December is when people are going to buy things and buy big items, things that they've been saving for. Let's start with autos.
Okay. Last year, festive season was bad for autos. If you remember the semiconductor shortage, there were people who had booked, and because the waiting period got extended, they cancelled. This year is gonna be, or projected to be, the best season ever for the auto industry. Sales will cross 1 million. Post COVID pandemic, the pent-up demand, the 2020-21 festive season saw 934,000 units being sold, and that was because of the pent-up demand. This year it's projected to cross 1 million. For the whole year it is 4.1 million. So let me put that in perspective. The entire car sales in Australia is around 1 million.
Entire years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Entire years. So 1 million is our 6-week sales that is being projected. That's half the car sales in all of United Kingdom.
Okay.
All year. So to put it in perspective, and car industry has done well. August, the FADA figures are out. There are 8% surge in vehicle sales year on year. 1.74 million units, but that includes all segments, not just cars. August has seen that, and August mostly is a season where the demand tapers down a bit because people save for the festive season. That's not happened. So auto industry is Santa Claus has come.
9% jump month on month, and better numbers expected for the coming weeks and months ahead. Interesting data point that you said, that we've sold as many cars as US has in the entire year in the first Australia. And you also mentioned US. UK.
That's half the year.
So when you was mentioning, all I could think of was that, okay, you're talking about Australia sells 1 million cars plus cars get sold in Australia. In India, that number is 4 million plus.
4.1.
4.1
this year.
Just check the population of Australia. Is India's population 4 times of Australia? No, I think it's way more than 4 times of Australia. So to me, to put that number in perspective, there's greater car ownership in Australia than in India.
I'll put that in perspective, going back to my classroom days in economics. In the 90s, India used to add 1 Australia to its population every year. That was a quote we got in the classroom.
Okay. But Not
And-
just, okay, yes, Krishna.
No. That's a fact. That puts things in better perspective. We keep adding Australias every year. In fact, we need to do better with our car sales, considering our population factor matters. We should not be 4 million. We're way more. And you're rightly pointing out auspicious and discounts. Because it is considered auspicious, you have discounts. You have special editions of car models being introduced by car makers for the festive season. So, let's keep fingers crossed that apart from recovering the pent-up demand, we generally push up demand with the upping in the numbers of the middle class in the country. So here's hoping that India does way more than 4 million cars this year.
All right, and not just cars. I think other things that Indians are going to eye for is a home.
Here
And realtors are prepared for that.
A 15 to 20% jump in festive sales from last year. Whoa. So it is not just a jump from the quarter, it's a jump in festive sales from last year. The jump in Realty is basically taking, the lead has been taken by 3 cities, Bengaluru, Pune and Mumbai. And it is not in the affordable housing sector. It is in the 3 to 15 crore price tag sectors. All of the names in these cities, Shriram Properties, Oberoi's, Shapurji Palonji, K. Reheja, all of them are expecting big surge in property sales this festive season. One downer, because of the surge in demand, demand and rentals, there are going to be no discounts this festive season, and that has been stated by some of these realtors.
And in fact, they're saying that the prices of Mumbai real estate prices, despite the market being what it is, it's consistently on the rise up, and in Mumbai continues to be the most expensive piece of home realty in the world, on par or beating the likes of Tokyo and other cities. So, and if they're not going to be giving discounts, I'm really surprised that despite no discounts, despite high prices, the demand is
expecting about 15 to 20%
jump from the festive season last year.
Right.
So it's going to
and
be
that last festive season was also with pent-up buying. So this is incredible numbers.
All right, incredible numbers there. All eyes on India's festive season, which I think some says would start now, as opposed to later weeks of September. But auto companies...
Shweta, we are beginning this today, a festive season, with your birthday and Janmashtami. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Festive season begins today, Shweta.
Festive season begins today, and real estate companies, realtors, as well as auto companies are prepared for that. The inventories are also at an all-time high for that matter.
In auto sales, the inventories are at an all-time high. They are operating, the manufacturing in their plants is operating on almost full capacity in all the car makers you can name.
Okay. So inventories are at 40%
Hyundai,
high.
Be it Tata, be it Maruti, all of them.
Manufacturing plants operating at their full capacity. Inventories at least 40% higher. Everybody is preparing for festive seasons ahead. The festive season, which begins in the next couple of weeks, we'll of course have to see how the numbers pan out for all these big sectors, hoping that the demand will come through. But moving on to a story that we are tracking by the way of G20, the G20 summit that starts, and the preparations, of course, are in full swing. All right, as I said, the preparations are on full swing. In fact, traffic advisories already on starting today. There are massive traffic jams. Stay home. Okay.
All we can say is stay home.
Krishna focusing on staying at home, but let's focus slightly on the updates that have come in the past 24 hours. So we've had different dignitaries speaking, union ministers speaking. Before I go to the economic agenda, let's quickly begin with Xi Jinping not making it, but China reiterating that don't worry, we still support India. We support India's G20 presidency, even though Xi Jinping is not going to cut it, make it. A lot of conversation and chatter around that. Xi Jinping not making it means that perhaps the final agenda that will come through, the resolution that will come through, will not have approval of the premiership or the prime ministers or the presidents of both China and Russia, two major global economies.
Right. Absolutely. Good. All eyes, Shweta, were on whether Xi Jinping was going to make it for G20 or not. This is India's time in the sun as a global power hosting the G20 presidency. You look at what is happening in Delhi, NCR, the entire area of Delhi NCR is gearing up for this this festival, the G20 festival, we're not mentioning that, Shweta. Apart from Janmashtami today, we have the G20 festival essentially kicking off the festival season in India this year around. So Xi Jinping not making it is a huge, is a huge factor, and as you're rightly pointing out, whether the decisions taken at G20 summit will be binding on China and Russia is for anybody to comment upon. But I'll tell you this much, the fact that we got confirmation that Joe Biden is coming,
yes,
because there was uncertainty regarding whether Joe Biden was going to make
but
it or
he's
not.
tested
The President
negative
of the United States of America, he has tested negative. Unfortunately, his wife Jill Biden did test positive
for COVID.
Yesterday, they had the big press conference at the White House. Jake Sullivan essentially announcing the fact that Joe Biden will be making it. That is definitely a shot in the arm for India, but India will definitely be looking at Xi Jinping's absence. Let's face it, Putin not making it again. He hasn't made it to many global forums in the recent past. So hence, he's starting with the G7. If he didn't make it to the G7, doubtful that he was going to make it to the G20. But Xi Jinping definitely should have been here, and that's something that will we need to understand how the G20 progresses and what the final resolution is, and how much of the absence of Xi Jinping will be felt at G20. That's left to be seen.
All right, and as far as the economic agenda is concerned, the Finance Minister spoke on record yesterday. We'll try and play up that bite really very quickly. Yesterday morning, talking about what is going to be on the agenda, and she mentioned debt restructuring is at the top of the agenda. Right. Another focus area will be cryptocurrency. And yet again, another focus area would be regulation around both cryptocurrency, AI, as well as conversations around tax havens, right, safe spots for tax evaders, for people who are willing to bypass law and order. All of that will be discussed, along with cyber security, cyber threats. That is going to form and be the base of conversations that will start as soon as tomorrow.
Right, and rightly actually so. You're talking about AI. Ever since we've seen the burst of AI, there's been talk of how do you regulate AI? How do you make sure you keep innovating on AI, bringing up new technologies, at the same time regulating the use of it? So it is a big global conversation, and it's imperative that it's part of the G20 conversation. And India, being the G20 president, to making it as part of that conversation is very, very important. So AI was always going to be there. Crypto really excites me because of the G20 countries, Shweta, 11 of them have introduced their own central bank digital currency or CBDC. 11 of the G20 countries, including India. Okay. So, and all of them are doing it in the pilot way. So clearly, the introduction of CBDC was always seen as a counterpoint to crypto's popularity, across the world. So how will these countries get together? I'm sure as they're discussing cryptocurrencies, they will be discussing CBDC. Absolutely. And they will be talking about the progress of every single one of their own CBDCs. So I want to know the outcome of that conversation, surely.
All right. And apart from that, CBDC and other digital infra goods, the India stack story, that of course is going to be a big selling point for India.
And UPI.
And UPI, of course, a part of digital public infra goods that India is going to hope that more and more countries will perhaps adopt. Let's quickly listen in to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman speaking yesterday.
Crypto threat as well as an opportunity. But crypto is also an example that I use later to say how, unless global cooperation works out well, you're not going to be able to have a responsible financial ecosystem which can regulate it as well. Drug and drug worlds, drug mafias, also a big threat again to the financial ecosystem. Tax havens and round-tripping of resources, tax evasion. All these are also the threats that we need to work. Keeping in our mind, we need to work with these threats before us so that we can address them.
All right, as I said, preparations are afoot. Delhi is abuzz. There are massive traffic jams that we can report by the way of our colleagues who've entered in the newsroom this morning as India and the national capital gear up to welcome heads of state from as many as 20 countries, part of the G20 group. We'll keep bringing you all the updates here on News 9. Stay tuned, but that's all on this bulletin. Thanks for watching.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
Akshay Kumar makes his Marathi film debut in Mahesh Manjrekar's Vedat Marathi Veer Daudale Sa. What's inspired Khiladi Kumar to foray into new terrain? Playing iconic Maratha king Shivaji Maharaj, he's jumping on a bandwagon that spells magic on the box office. Why are filmmakers in a rush to chronicle the life and times of Shivaji Maharaj?
Why do we feel the hunger, the need? Why are we compelled to make a film on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj? And that too so many films. For a simple reason, he was the people's king.
So I think there's this herd mentality in the film industry. One film clicks, then there's a line of producers who announce films with similar storylines.
Personality that has not been adequately explored on the big screen.
I think among filmmakers the craze is because the Marathi audience is somehow inclined to seeing films about the life and times of Shivaji Maharaj, and several films in the recent past based on his life or based on some chapter of his life have done well,
Now we see in the last 10 to 15 years that historical subjects have made a remarkable comeback. So here is a personality and a remarkable personality that hasn't been explored in the new era. I think that's the reason a lot of filmmakers are tapping into Chhatrapati Shivaji's life in order to depict it on the big screen and on OTT platforms and other such platforms. One other factor that is also responsible for this series of movies on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is that ever since Prime Minister Narendra Modi's dispensation has come in 2014, there have been previously neglected historical figures around whom there has been plenty of discussion, whether it is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, whether it's Veer Savarkar, whether it's Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
The rising number of films on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is also directly linked with the current political mood in Maharashtra.
So we have been depending on these stories which are borrowed. Our heroes have been borrowed, our icons have been borrowed. Where are our real icons? Where are our real heroes? It is high time that we go back to our text, our scriptures, our history.
A film with authentic history of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. I am damn sure that it will be one of the biggest hit ever of Bollywood industry.
Shivaji Maharaj's valorization in pop culture began in the 1970s.
Most of the 8 films released in the last 2 years have been successful. Pawan Khend, of course, was a huge hit, but most of the films based on the life of Chhatrapati Shivaji have done well at the box office. So I think this is the primary reason why so many films are being made.
When we talk about the history of India, so very conveniently we are made to forget the Maratha Empire period. Very conveniently. What are we told and what have, as a kid, what have I studied? Okay, there used to be Mughals and then Britishers came. Right? So this is what we have been taught. What a huge lie it is. What a blatant lie and shameless lie it is. So between the Mughals and the Britishers, there was Maratha Empire, and it was huge. It was humongous. It qualifies for being called one of the biggest samrajyas of empires of the time. So that kind of power, that kind of influence which Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had, probably that is the reason that we want to tell his story. That okay, such a great son of India
who was not given his due respect, who was not given his due credit.
He is an icon across social and cultural categories. He is an icon across castes and communities in Maharashtra, and also increasingly across India. When the freedom movement was on, everybody from Mahatma Jyotiba Phule to Lokmanya Tilak to Lala Lajpat Rai depicted him as a hero that Indians needed to look up to when they were fighting their freedom struggle against the British. We know that Mahatma Phule wrote about him. Tilak started the Shivaji Jayanti festival, which was then adopted in states across India, by provinces across India. There came a point where the Shivaji festival became bigger in Bengal than it was in Maharashtra. Firstly, that the depiction of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in Indian history has not been adequate, and it has also not been correct, because for a long time he was depicted as a leader who may be restricted to a region. At the same time, his vision was not restricted to the Marathi speaking regions. His vision spanned the entire subcontinent, and that is why he focused on the navy. If you combine the defense vessels and the trading vessels, then the vessels of the Maratha Navy during Chhatrapati Shivaji's lifetime come to 700, and he starts trading with West Asia and other places. So how can we say that his vision was restricted to a particular region? Not at all.
I draw from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's history is Idam Namamu. A person who created Swaraj, which was not existent for 350 years, a person who built more than 360 forts, a person who instilled so many values in the minds of these people, his own people, still you'll not find his name on any of his fort. The history should be recreated, history should be told in the most authentic way possible.
People had almost forgotten the history of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj till the social reformist Mahatma Jyotiba Phule and Bal Gangadhar Tilak revived the history in late 19th century. Today, Jai Bhavani, Jai Shivaji is the slogan which is popular, cutting across the political differences. The ruling parties always made it a point to rename iconic building after Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, whether it was Mumbai's railway station, the international airport, or one of the most popular museums. When it came to renaming, the unanimous choice was Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj actually imagined and actually conceptualized the complete freedom, which is called 100% freedom, where we have the sovereign state, where we have all the powers, where we can run our country the way we want to. We are not reporting to any king or queen. So that was the dream of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And the same dream, if you study, the same dream was passed down to the eyes of Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, Lokmanya, and then Veer Savarkar. So these were the people who first raised the voice and the demand for complete freedom, not a dominial state. So if you ask me, we have a colonial mindset, and that is the reason that even the slogans which we use in day-to-day life, the slogans which are taught to our kids, Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar. What is Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar? Who was Sikandar? An invader. How can you go on celebrating the villains of your history time and again and not realize that this is wrong? Why not Jo Jeeta Wahi Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj?
Anything on Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj should not be restricted only to entertainment. When we call it, it's a sanskar. ये हमारी माटी का संस्कार है. So this should reach out to youth, this should reach out to public, and they get a lot of inspiration from the great deeds of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
मैं इमरान अहमद खान नियाजी सबके दिल से हल्फ उठाता हूँ.
When Imran Khan came initially into politics, he thought his personal popularity would be sufficient for him. It didn't happen.
The retired military generals are openly saying that Imran Khan is a better choice.
Imran Khan may have bitten a bit too much, more than what he can chew.
Implosion. This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं.
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में.
ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है.
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why should we even be a part of it?
The Rat Race. This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Hello there. Namaskar. Now, once again, Hindustan, Bharat, India are in the coinage. What does it mean? आखिर नाम में क्या रखा है? Shakespeare said, what's there in the name? But it looks like the hummings, the buzz that we are seeing, there's a lot in the name. The Republic of India has two principal short names, each of which is historically significant, India and Bharat. A third name, Hindustan, is sometimes an alternative name for the region comprising most of the modern Indian states of the Indian subcontinent when Indians speak amongst themselves. The usage of Bharat, Hindustan or India depends on the context and the language of conversation. Now look at this. Bharat, the name for India in several Indian languages, is derived from King Dushyant's son Bharat. At first, the name Bharat referred only to the western part of the Gangetic Valley, but was later more broadly applied to the Indian subcontinent, and the region of Greater India as well was named India. Now, the name India is originally derived from the name of the river Sindhu, which is Indus, India, and has been in the use in the Greece since Herodotus, 5th century BC. The term appeared in Old English as early as 9th century and re-emerged in modern English in the 17th century. Now, Hindustan is the name, the third name of the Republic of India. This name was popular during Mughal rule. Hindu term was given by the Persians for the people living around the Sindhu river, Indus river once again. Marathas also used to call it the land of Hindus. The word Hindustan is also used in Sare Jahan Se Acha, the patriotic Urdu poem written by Allama Iqbal. So all these things put together, if you take a look at it, are faces of the same coin. What should be the name of the country? It's not just a topic of debate or discussion. In fact, the same question echoed in the chambers of the Constituent Assembly back in 1949. In this show, we bring you the excerpts, the debate that happened in the September of 1949, that riveting piece of communication that happened to and fro, whether what should be the name, whether it should be India, whether it should be Bharat or both, Jambu Dweep, and going back into the history, the genesis of the name, all those things were discussed threadbare by the then Constituent Assembly members, and they were the founding fathers of the New India's, the independent India's constitution also. So before that also, if we take a look at the debate that is ongoing now, why the hullabaloo? Why the situation when, there are political ramifications of choosing a particular name? Well, I mean, that also suggests something, that the effort, the history, the kind of pointers, the kind of reasoning that was given to give India the name Bharat or India, that is also something pretty interesting. Mohan Bhagwat, a few days ago, the RSS chief, mentioned about usage of the name Bharat now onwards. Let's listen in.
हम सब लोग इंडिया शब्द का उपयोग करना छोड़ दें और भारत शब्द का उपयोग करना प्रारंभ करें। कभी कभी अंग्रेजी जानने वालों के सामने हमको बोलना पड़ता है, तो भाषा के प्रवाह में ही इंडिया आ जाता है, क्योंकि उनको समझना चाहिए, कोई जरूरत नहीं है। जो विशेष नाम होते हैं उसका भाषांतर नहीं किया जाता, दुनिया में कहीं नहीं करते। ऐसे हमारा भारत देश है, सदियों से उसका नाम है, जो असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गमय की यात्रा करता है, तेज की तरफ जाता है, प्रकाश में रत रहता है, ज्ञान में रत रहता है, वो हमारा देश है। उसका नाम भारत है, तो दुनिया में कहीं भी जाएगा तो वो भारत ही रहना चाहिए। तो हम बोलने में लिखने में सर्वत्र भारत कहे। किसी को समझने में नहीं आया, चिंता न करे, उसको जरूरत है तो वो समझ लेगा। हमको जरूरत नहीं है सबको समझाने की, हम अपने आप में समर्थ है, स्वतंत्र है। आज दुनिया को हमारी जरूरत है, बिना दुनिया हम चल सकते हैं, दुनिया हमारे बिना नहीं चल सकती।
So there you heard it. The RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat also mentioning that आने वाले समय में, आने वाले टाइम में हमें भारत का इस्तेमाल, संबोधन भारत से करना है. This is something that has become pretty clear now, especially if you take a look at the invitation that has been sent out to the dignitaries who are attending the G20 summit. But today we will go back in time. We will go back not the pre-colonial era, but 1949, exactly 75 years ago, when India had got freedom in 1947, and the Constituent Assembly was mulling on the Constitution of India. B.R. Ambedkar was leading that team. Well, Manashwi Thapar is joining us on the broadcast, noted lawyer there. Manashwi, always a pleasure to speak to you, always a pleasure to learn from you. I was going through, the 1949 transcript of the exchanges that happened in the Constituent Assembly, the September of 1949. First of all, I was, happily surprised to look at the language, the way they would disagree, the way they would counter each one's point. There were so many aspects, Manashwi, at that time, which clearly show that a lot of thought was given as far as the naming of the country. किसे पहले आना चाहिए, भारत पहले होगा या इंडिया पहले होगा, इंडिया पहले होगा या भारत होगा, ब्रिटिश का कितना इन्फ्लुएंस है. All those aspects were kept in mind. Looking at that era, Manashwi, I'm sure in the law schools also this is being taught as a lesson, maybe apart from the speech that Jawaharlal Nehru gave on the independence, eve of independence. How do you see this this aspect of Indian constitution, this aspect of Indian polity, and later on we delve deep?
See, this particular name changing thing or name discussion thing, this is a debate which is not at all required. India has two names, India and Bharat. Bharat has another name, which is India, and that is how we all know about it. India, which is Bharat, Bharat, what is India? That is what we know about it. But this debate does not have any depth out of it. It is just a political debate. It's a very good politically optical debate of creating India versus Bharat. There cannot be any India versus Bharat. There is a name, there is a brand name, there is a global understanding of what Bharat or India is all about, and we are known as Indians. We would not be known as any other name. So this is basically a debate just to have, since there is a bloc alliance known as India, to counter that, a political party, BJP, which is a very strong party, has the numbers. They want to have a discourse out of it. But this discourse, does it contain any kind of depth? Does it contain any kind of a constitutional mandate? Does it contain any kind of name changer? That is not going to happen. India was a strong country. India is very strong. The future is of India. That cannot be changed, or by changing the name or creating a bigger brand name of Bharat and diluting India's name, we will not get a bigger brand value as a global acumen value of our country. We are a strong country because of our Indians, our citizens of this nation, the great citizens of this nation. So this is just a politically optical discussion wise, because this will not contain any kind of depth out of it. This will have a debate out of it. कौन सा नाम बेटर है? नाम का बेटर कोई, ये बच्चा थोड़ी पैदा हो रहा है जिसका नाम आपको ग्रहों के हिसाब से करना है. ये तो देश है, And after 75 years of independence, you want to go back to 1949 and have a discussion on names. What did our ancestors did? They did their job. They were there. The job was given to them कि नाम क्या रखना है. The name would be India or Bharat, and we had a very good debate. We had debate for hours and hours and days कि हमारा नाम क्या, why, how would a new country would be named? A new country was found, named as Pakistan. उन्होंने decide किया वो पाकिस्तान रहेंगे. एक आधे part को East Pakistan का, and we decided we'll be known as India and Bharat both. So there is no debate out of it. And a job was given in 1949 to our ancestors. They had done a great job. And now, since now I am in power, this is a batch of 2023, we feel we need to change the name because it is politically correct, because some other person who's in opposition have decided that we'll use our name India. So this is laughable.
Right, Mansi. You're right. You know, when it comes to the name, once again, what's wrong with the name? The point that you are making, I agree to it. Let's hear it also from Professor Chambi Puranik, who joins us. Professor Puranik, now, if you once again referring back to, you know, the ancient times, if I may say so, as far as the time when, you know, India had not been known by any other name, India, Bharat, that was not the debate at that time. Upanishads and you know, the great ancient books, Mahabharata too at times, as I have been reading about it, mentioned Bharat in some way or the other. Vishnu Puran mentioned it, Brahma Puran mentioned it. Talking about the mention of Puranas, what we are showing on the screen also, the significance of the name and the modern aspect of it, is there any conflict, or is a conflict bound to happen when we talk about a term, a name from age-old traditions to the modern times?
Well, you know, first of all, I mean, I feel really, you know, sad that people are making controversy out of nothing, from small issue like this. But as a teacher, you know, I have been teaching for the last 40 years. Now that we are discussing whether India should be known as Bharat or India, like that. I think this controversy itself is very superficial, because the historical context which you mentioned, and also the earlier, the spirit of the Constituent Assembly debates that we have gone through, and also people who have participated, how to name India, the nomenclature. I think, you know, there is nothing wrong in calling India as Bharat or Bharat as India. I have been teaching, and in every teaching we have always included the roots of our country and the kind of tradition that we have inherited. And, you know, for example, other than English, you know, when you speak about India, we say Bharat, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, we say. And also, I think it's such a commonly accepted thing, you know. Instead of calling father, we call him Pitru. I mean, that doesn't mean that we are insulting fatherhood or the kind of, you know, family head being called as father. So I think, you know, this, as you mentioned, that